I lost your emotions, but I'll take that for
We're now ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hagenow.
Present.
Councilmember Kerr.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Present.
Councilmember Parmet.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Present.
Councilmember Thisted. Present. Mayor Riley.
Present.
There are 7 members present.
Thank you. And now, we will please stand and repeat the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item is the approval of the agenda. And is there any changes to the basic agenda? Hearing none.
Is this when we would pull it up?
No, we pull it up when we get to consent agenda. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Councilmember Sullivan.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now we have communications to council. If anyone would like to speak to council on any topic, will you please step forward and please state the name of where you live or work or your association with Keystone, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Patty Banks, Lebanon Pass Village. I think we all know about the massacre of our trail behind Lebanon Pass Village. So I think that's a big topic that might be coming up, and so I'm just here to support anything we can do to make that not happen again, and maybe get some answers from the Forest Service on why they did what they did to recommission the trail. Okay. And then just another sidebar is love to know about speed bumps in Lebanon Pass Village. I've talked to some council members and haven't heard anything back, and so that would be something I'd like to hear at some point. Thank you.
What's the issue with speed bumps?
Well, look, I talked to Josh, and he, a couple of months ago, he said there shouldn't be a problem. And then he came back, and I think, John, I don't know, he said for me to talk to you, and I left you a couple of phone messages, and I haven't, then he didn't get them.
I am not getting
any
phone messages apparently,
Okay.
so.
And then at coffee, I talked to Dan and Carol, so just trying to get speed bumps in our neighborhood so our kids and dogs can go. Great, thank you.
All right.
The pet agenda, this has to do with Fred and Ellen Fulkerson, 111 Lenaway Lane. Our home backs up to the nature trail there. On May 20th, our cat was sunning itself in the yard.
No, Fred, we actually have a public hearing on this item
Yeah,
in a couple minutes,
okay.
and that would be an appropriate time for this so that it can go into the public record on the decision.
Are there any other comments? Anyone online?
Looks like we've got Kathy online.
Kathy? Kathy, could you please bring her up?
Kathy, if you've still got a comment, you should be able to unmute yourself now. You'll just need to hit the little microphone button.
Kathy, it's the button
that says Mike, not the Hamlin.
She's off.
Oops.
It looks like she's left the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, if she comes back, would she retain her ability to comment?
Do you want, is that Kathy Rogg? Do you want me to see, I can go, do you want me to see what it's about?
Yeah, we'll let her, since it's a technical issue,
Yeah.
we'll let her comment if she comes back. Okay. With that, other than for Kathy Rogg, if she comes back online, the communications to council is over. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. I know there's a proposal to remove the first reading of the ordinance 25-0-14 from the consent agenda that has to do with adopting short-term rental regulations. So
This would be a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to remove that from the consent agenda and move it into the regular agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is the second reading of,
Approval of the consent.
oh, I thought we just removed it. I made the motion wrong.
No, you may.
No, you may have right. There are other items
You
on there.
remove that from the consent agenda, and now you have to approve everything
understand.
else that's on
But
the
I
consent
could've-
agenda.
Made a single motion that would, with the exception, removed.
You could.
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a motion?
I'd like to
Councilmember
make a motion. I'd like to move to accept the consent agenda with the exception of the first reading of the ordinance about STRs and with the inclusion of the excused physical absence for Councilmember Kerr.
That will be on next meeting's,
Today?
agenda. Yeah, for tonight, it will be a next meeting's agenda.
Retroactive?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can revise my motion then. I move
All we
to-
have to do is, all we need is a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
As I was trying to do, I move to accept the consent agenda as amended.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, consent agenda is approved. And I was just informed Kathy Rogg is now back online.
On the phone?
No.
She can't get back online, I couldn't understand why, but she told me what her comments are, so I can tell you guys what her comments are, because she can't get back online.
Come to the podium, state your name, where you live, and who you're speaking for.
Patty Banks, Loveland Pass Village, and I'm speaking for Kathy Rogg from Loveland Pass Village. She is also very upset about the decommissioned trail behind her house, and she also would like something done for speed control in Loveland Pass Village, such as, quote, speed bumps or have a cop there all the time. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. With the council's agreement, I'd like to ask the town manager to look into the speed bump issue for Loveland Pass Village. And if that's acceptable, and I know we'll address the other issue later in the meeting. So now we're on to public hearing for ordinance 2025-0-13, and will the clerk please read the title into the subject matter Okay, subject matter into the record.
Ordinance 2025-0-13, ordinance of Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado regarding the regulation of pet animals within the Town of Keystone.
Point of information, since we removed the first reading of ordinance 2025-0-14, do we have to address that first, or is that?
We'll address that when we normally address first reading of ordinances.
Perfect, thank you.
So, at this point, I declare the public hearing open. At this council meeting, we're going to be having the public hearing for the consideration of ordinance 2025-0-13 regarding regulation of pet animals. The following are the procedures for this hearing. First, we'll hear a report from the town manager, followed by questions from council members. Then we'll take public comment on the ordinance. Following public comment, the council will be asked if they have any additional questions for staff. And then the public hearing will be closed and the council will deliberate. At this point, I'd like to ask the town manager for an introductory presentation.
Okay, this is the second reading of the ordinance that we have discussed in a previous workshop, and we actually discussed its first reading at our last meeting. The ordinance deals with the regulation of pet animals, specifically animals at large, licensing of animals, rabies control, bites, quarantine, impoundment of animals, and the requirement of pet owners to clean up their pet waste. The only changes since the first reading of the ordinance are removal of references to the town telephone directory.
Anyone have questions of staff? There are no questions of staff. Then I will now open it for public comment. And again, you'll be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and please line up behind the podium. When it's your turn to speak, please say your name and where you live or work or own in Keystone or your connection to Keystone. And neither the council nor the manager will answer questions or respond to your comments during the public comment period.
Fred and Ellen Fulkerson, 111 Lenaway Lane. Our home backs up to the nature trail. On May 20th, I've been in Keystone since '81, and I've lived at that address since '98. On May 20th, our cat was sunning itself in our backyard, and it was attacked by 2 off-leash dogs. And it did pass away 27 hours later from its injuries. I spent $6,000 at Wheat Ridge Animal Hospital on the pet. And it's about off-leash dogs on the nature trail. We've lived there a long time. We see a lot of people with their dogs on the leash, and then you see some people with their dogs off the leash. That's all I got.
All right, thank you.
And we just want clarification on the, dogs off leash or dogs on leash or signs or something.
Pat Banks from Past Village. I definitely agree with the leash law, and I think it would also be appropriate if you have a dog that's under voice control. I would like to see that be an alternative to being on a leash.
Any other comments? Is there anyone online? No other comments in the room? In that case, I'll declare the public comment period closed. Are there other questions? Does council have any other questions for the town manager staff? We're hanging up.
John, or Mr. Mayor, would you be, there are times to try and, Mr. Manager, would you be able to summarize briefly what the control avenues would be under the second reading.
Yeah, under the second reading, the control, well, two types of control. If you're out on the pathway or a public place, your dog has to be under a leash or under voice control. That is acceptable in that situation, or an electronic form of control. If it's on your own property, it just has to be contained. Electronic fences are allowable, dog runs are allowable, fencing is allowable. And as a kind of an aside, just because your dog listens to you, if it's away from you, that's no longer under voice control, and you will be subject to the provisions of this. It might be a good dog who listens to you every other time. The time it doesn't listen to you matters.
Councilman Pfister.
I hope this is an appropriate time to comment. My heart goes out to the family who lost their pet. That is such a violation of your personal safety. I can't even imagine the emotional distress you guys are experiencing as a result of that. I think that it's a romantic notion to have dogs that are under voice control, but we so often hear and experience in this county people who approach us on unpaved trails, caged trails, our private roads, who have their dogs off leash and claim that they're under control, but then they jump up on you, they attack your little dog that's on a leash. And so I'm wondering, I'm still not clear, what are the ramifications for somebody who claims voice control, yet their dogs are aggressive, prove to be aggressive and attack somebody? I mean, there was a situation in Breckenridge last year where an Olympian was attacked and disabled by somebody's voice control dog on the, I believe, the Colorado Trail back there. So what teeth do we have after the fact? I mean,
Well, unfortunately, it's in this situation, if we keep voice control in the ordinance as an allowable form of control, it's an after the fact, but it is a violation of the ordinance, and they are subject to the entirety of the municipal penalties and possible impoundment of the dog as laid out in the ordinance. So we can go after them after the fact, but that's it. And that's kind of why I made that little comment that.
Would that also be the case if the dog was on a leash and still did something heinous?
Yes.
Okay.
Then it would fall. It wouldn't fall under. It's under control. It's under leash control, but it's still a vicious animal.
I believe it says it says somewhere about sufficient strength, and I don't think that would qualify as sufficient strength. They're able to still do something.
Well, I could walk up right up to your dog on a 4-foot leash. If the dog breaks the leash and gets away from you, it's not under control.
And what if a dog bites somebody or bites another animal? What does the ordinance address?
It's in there under reporting of bites and reporting of bites, section 7. Report the incident to animal control. The animal will have to go into quarantine.
I believe you also added something about disposal of the animals if they weren't proven to be.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head, so I'm have something in there about it. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so these. What I can recommend is that we go forward with this as it is and give me time to review it, and I can bring up an amended ordinance if I don't have proper vicious animal regulations.
As I remember, section 7 addresses reporting bites
Yep.
to the animal control officer and the police officer. Any animal which is bitten or suspected of biting a human being or other animal should be placed under observation for a period of 10 days. The period of observation shall be designated by the animal control officer, investigating officer. The owner will adequately assure confinement, and then
Yeah, I left out vicious, definition of a vicious animal, which is, there are state laws that do deal with that too, but we should mimic those in our ordinance.
would it be simpler to just defer this to the next meeting if we're going to make a change rather than implement and then come back and go through multiple readings again?
If we can do that, that would be.
So from a procedural standpoint, is this a motion to table or is this a motion to disapprove?
No, you can just continue the public hearing on this
Yeah.
So
to the next meeting.
Move to continue to the next.
And so we basically start the public hearing all over again.
Yeah.
Point of information, I don't know if that's the proper thing to say with this question, but given the fact that our animal ordinance was not in place when the aforementioned incident happened, are there state or county regulations that provide protection to our residents currently in situations like the one that occurred?
I can't answer that for sure, but I'm fairly certain.
There are state laws related to dangerous animals,
Yeah.
dangerous dogs.
So even though we don't have one, you could have called the police and they would have had some.
Yeah, there are state laws.
All right, so do I have a motion to table this till the next? Continue this till the next council meeting?
Which is, let's just, typically you say the date certain, so that the date is, that's August 12th.
August 12th.
I would not make that motion.
You what?
Would not make that motion.
You would not? All right.
I think that Councilman just brought up a great point.
All right. Then, any other questions or any? We're still in questions for staff. Why I'm not closed the public meeting?
Okay, well, the question was, is that I think we were proposing the idea of adding the definition of a vicious animal attack of some sort. And what are the ramifications? Is that what?
Yeah, and I feel that it was a failure on mine to not include that. I think it's important that such a section be included in our animal control ordinance, because we want to be able, similar to the obeying the police officer laws we passed last time. This is something we want to be able to force enforcement of and not have to rely on the district attorney wanting to take the case.
Are there any other questions for staff? Hearing none, I will then, Mr. Councilman Cruz? And, no.
It was briefly, I just wanted to know, is it your understanding that our neighbor was talking about when he used the word on the nature trail? Do you think he meant the rec path?
No,
Oh,
it's on the south bank of the Snake. There's a small dirt path that basically runs parallel to the rec path that's on the north edge.
is that considered a general use path that we should think about adding? Because I think our law says, our proposed law says something to the extent of paved paths. Since we were trying to balance the desire of some pet owners to let their dogs run under control, balanced with the need to protect our human natures, should we expand where the leash is required? Anybody have any thoughts?
Councilmember Sullivan.
I do think we did discuss that, and it was kind of a heated discussion, compromise. There were people that did, we decided to go with all the paved paths, public areas, on purpose, which would not, did not include the woods going up to the forest, or other non-paved paths.
Yes, I think that was more restrictive than some people wanted. And that was a good compromise to get more restriction on those off-leash animals.
So again, any more questions?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That said, if there was an attack in an area that's allowed to be unleashed, I mean, that's still a vicious animal attack. They can do something about it, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly, he was not, the dog wasn't under control.
Councilmember Pfister.
I just want to understand because now I'm confused about whether or not this ordinance is going to apply to those paths along the river. Is it?
Yes, it will, but you are allowed voice control on these paths.
Versus how you have them unleashed on paved areas?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Now, Councilmember Armet.
It's a nature path, it's not the county rec path, which has a strict leash law, but I think it's paved right there.
No, it is not. The,
Isn't that by the bridge?
no, the area, the whole area that runs on that side of the river is a dirt path.
There's the dirt path, but there's a short section that's paved. No, that goes up the hill, sorry. You're right.
That goes up past his property.
Yeah.
I take back, it's not your property, you're further down. Yeah, that's right. All right, next step is, any other questions for staff? In that case, I will declare the public hearing closed and will now be open for deliberations and comment by council. What we'd like to, council member Hagan.
Thank you. While I'd like to see the inclusion of what I believed was already included, the vicious animal aspect, I'm concerned that if we do not have anything, that there will be less avenues for our constituents to be able to use should something like we heard about during the public comment happen again. And I guess I'd rather have something rather than nothing and be able to change it in the future.
The thoughts?
Well, if we approve it, I respect that point of view, and if we approve it, then it's incumbent upon us to fix it immediately.
Right.
That's not.
And so what's the right procedure?
If we want to fix it, but what we're really talking about, I think, as I understand it, Councilmember Hagel is recommending approving it now, and then in 2 weeks, we can have a first reading of an amendment to the ordinance, followed by 2 weeks later, a follow-on a second reading of that ordinance, or we could continue it to next meeting, and at that meeting, you would have everything done, including the vicious animal.
can we check with our attorney, can you amend an ordinance before it's effective?
Oh, so in other words, we'd have to wait 30 days before we can start the amendment process.
Well, I think, I mean, you can adopt even a separate ordinance,
Yeah.
and that's fine. So,
But again, you'd have, again, that 2-week,
yes,
So what I'm hearing is it might be faster to just push it off till next meeting to get it fully baked before we approve it.
if you felt it was an emergency, you could adopt an emergency ordinance. But it's up to you.
and right now, am I correct me if I'm wrong, do the county ordinances in this area apply until we put our own in place?
Well, I think it's probably state law that would apply.
All right.
Yeah, there are state laws related to dangerous dogs.
But specifically, the leash issue,
No, there are no state leash.
but with the county ordinances that are in place today, did we adopt those when we adopted the county codes?
We did, except I think that expired with the police when we adopted them related to using, Summit County Sheriff's Office.
What I'm questioning is the county ordinances regarding animal control had nothing to do with what agency was, in that case, the county would have been enforcing them with the animal control division.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that ordinance that we adopted them.
And
That's probably a red herring anyway.
They might, I don't know how county laws apply to us.
Well, and I don't know if the Dillon, Keystone Police Department would enforce those county laws.
Oh, but the animal control piece is already is enforced by the county.
Right, but your police department here is,
But animal control has the same rights as the police department in issuing violations and other.
do you have animal control enforcing here?
The-
Yeah.
Yeah, the police department contracts with the,
Oh, they contract with them.
yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, if it were a bad enough situation, I'm sure our police would be in contact with the district attorney's office and see if they will.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is a state law that's related
Yeah.
to dangerous dogs.
We just, the reason we want to include it in our ordinances so that we don't have to rely on things in the VA.
Point of order, so the fastest way to get this approved, with regards to all the timing, is that to delay it to the next meeting and add the verbiage at that time?
Yeah.
I think that's in the best interest of everybody. So
Can I have a motion?
I move that we
Continue.
continue the public comments, is that right?
Hearing.
Hearing?
Yes.
Yes,
Until August
until August 22nd.
Until August
12th.
12th.
Well, yes.
Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, and I just need a voice vote on this, correct? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. The item is continued until the next council meeting. And again, I'd like to thank the person who made the public comment for having us come to the awareness that the vicious dog issue was not properly addressed. The next item is the first reading of ordinance 2025-0-14, and ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, amending ordinance 2024-0-07, adopting short-term rental regulations to establish requirements for parking diagrams and requiring contact numbers to be provided as a direct number. Mr. Town Manager?
And I will pass this one on to our town clerk and our town attorney.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Town Council. My name is Madeline Cielu, the Town Clerk. When Town Council adopted the short-term rental regulations last year, you expressed a desire to review the process in a year to determine what changes may need to be made. And after that review, Town Council directed staff to move forward with the amendments that are outlined in this evening's ordinance. This was done after a comprehensive process of public outreach through a survey, as well as a series of listening sessions, and there were several council conversations about this during work session. In the proposed ordinance before you tonight, there are two things outlined. The first is requiring responsible agents to provide a direct number that they can be reached at, and the second is requiring a submission of a parking diagram.
Is there any discussion by the members of the council, or is there a motion? Councilmember Higgins.
I would move to approve on first reading the ordinance, excuse me, let me try that again. I move to approve ordinance 2025-0-14 with the addition of a paragraph after G-2.a, subpoint 4, stating, quote, "One parking pass per allowable parking space as submitted in the application, which pass shall include the address or unit number shall be provided to all renters upon check-in or display on their dashboard of their vehicle."
Been moved, is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will call the question, and I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Hagenow.
Approve.
Councilmember Kerr.
Approve.
Councilmember Martin.
Approve.
Councilmember Cormet.
Okay.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Approve.
Councilmember Thisted. Approved. Mayor Riley.
Approved.
There are 7 votes to approve.
Thank you. Next item is resolution of 2025-23, a resolution of Town Council, Town of Keystone, Colorado, approving a contract for construction of the Ranch Road, and I'll turn it over to the town manager.
Okay, this is happy news. We received 3 bids for the reconstruction of Ranch Road from the intersection at Soda Ridge to Saw Whiskers. If anyone's driven that recently, they understand there's barely a road left. 2 of the bids were fairly competitive. After analysis, staff recommends Columbine Hills Construction. They're the same company that we awarded the Highway 6 sidewalk contract to. They just came in, well, their plans started higher on our matrix. So it's a total cost of $222,260. That's a per unit max cost, same as the sidewalk. So the maximum out of pocket without further approval by this council would be $222,260. That price may go down if during the construction all of the items in the bid package some of the items are found not to be necessary or needed. So it's a max price contract we're bidding for. They can start work almost immediately, and they're saying it could take 23 days to complete. Possibly go sooner, could possibly go later, depending on weather situations. But it's, staff feels real comfortable with Columbine Hills construction. We've seen what they've already done this week out on the pathway, and staff is very happy with the price that this improvement is coming in at.
Councilmember Sullivan.
A question for you, going through the contract, it has things like owner requirements for fees, et cetera, utilities. Have you assessed the things that are not, that are going to be fees or costs that are not paid by that the town will be responsible for? Is there a list?
There's,
Do you have any?
we have none. And the contract was written by our attorney. It's almost an identical contract to the one we used for the Highway 6 pathway. None anticipated.
Other questions? Councilmember Kirk.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Manager, I am persuaded that, that this is the right thing to do based on things you have told me. But would you help us understand what the risk is by not making this repair?
The road, because of our awareness of the condition of this road, we are at legal risk for any injuries that occur as a result of the, ask my attorney here for what's the exact phrase, the negligent,
Well, it's dangerous condition.
dangerous condition of a public road.
Yeah.
And the
So if
dangerous
someone,
condition is that it's falling apart?
yes, it can cause car damage, could cause accidents, could cause any number of situations.
Okay, I trust you. Follow up. Has the town alerted the residents of Saw Whisker Circle about the impending construction and traffic rerouting, or will you do that after we pass this, if we pass this?
After we pass this, and the first thing we'll do is tomorrow get a full schedule so that we can notify the Saw Whiskers people of the exact dates and that one house that actually accesses right off that stretch of road there too. We've already compiled the list of all the contact information for the people. So we're not just going to put up a sign, we're going to reach out to the individual homeowners.
That's appropriate. Thank you.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you. My initial understanding going into this was that there was a more a competitive local contractor. Could you explain, A, if that was a fantasy dream I had, and B, if not, why this particular contractor, Combine, scored higher on the matrix you were talking about?
That's not the truth. This actually was the lowest bid that came in. This is a local contractor.
Okay.
But there were two local contractors and one non-local. The two locals were very close and very competitive. What turned the matrix score for us was the cost. This was the lower cost.
So this was slightly lower than the other?
Yes, originally I brought the original contract, the other local contractor. We asked for clarification on a couple of the items in the bid, and they corrected their bid, and that bumped their cost up
Understood.
above this one.
Are there any economies of scale that we should anticipate seeing as savings because Combine is already doing work right next door?
Well, one of the economies, it's written into their bid, in the mobilization costs and issues.
Okay, and then I know that you had mentioned traffic control was a significant increase in the reason why the bids for the previous bid went up and also this bid going up by around 12,500, I believe. And I noticed with the current work that's going on, which is awesome to see it happening, but there is cones and a sign for traffic control. Why was there an increase in cost because of the the lack of people, I guess. I was anticipating more people being present, which led to the increase in cost.
Well, the issue with this one specifically, and why you need people out there doing traffic control, is because you will have a one-lane road for a stretch of this construction, and have to reroute people in and out of that. To tell the truth, I am trusting on our contractors' abilities to, especially these two contractors, to understand the laws regard to traffic control and to adhere to that law.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I'm trying to understand what in this bid caused the price to go up by almost $13,000 for traffic control when I'm not seeing a lot of traffic control happening here. So
This is a different project.
It's a different project, but the same justification for price increases used for both of these bids.
And it's looking like we're going to see a significant savings in this Highway 6 sidewalk bid.
Is there a
Because they're
potential?
not, this is part of the per unit bidding situation that I explained. So they put out the max bid, and they are looking to get us cost savings where they can. I haven't had a chance, I noticed that too. I expected there to be flaggers out there. I haven't had a chance to talk to the contractor. I plan on talking with the contractor, but my assumption is that these are very reputable contractors, and they're not going to try to skirt the...
Understood. And so would it be safe to hope that if for this project that we're talking about right now, if they just put cones at the end of the road and that's it, there's no flaggers, that we could see a savings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions? Can I have a motion? Councilmember Sullivan.
Yeah, I move. I move to approve.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a resolution to approve resolution 2025-23, approval of a contract for construction of a segment of Keystone Ranch Road?
Is there a second to the?
I second it.
Motion. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving resolution 2025-23, please raise your hands. All opposed? The motion is carried. The next item is resolution 2025-28, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone approving the intergovernmental agreement regarding the Mountain Community Coalition for Participation in Public Utilities Commission proceeding number 25A-0044 EG. Mr. Town Manager.
Okay, and I am going to rely on our town attorney here a little bit, but I'll explain the background. We discussed this at a workshop. This has to do with Excel's proposed mountain energy, mountain energy plan, dealing with what they are describing as a shortfall of natural gas at Keystone, end of the natural gas pipeline, Breckenridge end, and actually Grand Lake too. Grand Lake's not part of this coalition. The towns in the county filed an intervention with the PUC. There were several concerns with the plan as proposed. I think one of the biggest concerns for Keystone is the cost that this plan could have imposed on our Excel customers and their rate burden. I've heard possibly up to thousands of dollars per customer to implement this plan, even though $47 million worth of the money would have gone back to the customers in incentives who wanted to change their furnace, from a gas furnace to electric or something like that. The total cost was contemplated being imposed just on the ratepayers in the Mountain Energy project. That's, to me, that's the most important issue for us in the town of Keystone. There are also questions, does it encourage continued use of greenhouse gases unnecessarily? Are the proposed injection solution would be a compressed natural gas injection site for Keystone, a liquefied natural gas out towards Breckenridge? There are safety concerns about those things. So I guess, you know, if there are any other questions, I'm going to go run and grab my note about exactly what the intervention is. But the cost is estimated for the Mountain Community Coalition, which is the towns in, all of the towns in Summit County except Montezuma and the county itself. It's estimated to cost $203,540. We looked at several ways of dividing the funding, by customer number or by greenhouse gas usage. The greenhouse gas usage number is a lower number for the town of Keystone. Then we have a higher percentage of customers than we have percentage of greenhouse gases, fuels used by those customers. So our share would be 7.23% of the total funding, or $14,713, which is significantly lower than what this plan, if it went through unopposed, would have cost our ratepayers. I mean, several orders of magnitude.
Questions? Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you. I just want to understand, because my initial question after reading this was about the percentage breakdowns, and I think I understood you correctly when you just talked about that, but you are basically saying that Keystone is agreeing to pay our percentage of greenhouse gas and usage, right?
Basically,
So if there's 100 gallons of greenhouse gas, we use 7.2.
well, the fuel, really it's natural gas is all we're talking about here. So we use 7.23% of the natural gas consumed in these communities in Southern County.
Okay, and it's not, because I read this as we're 7.323% of the consumers.
No,
Okay.
that's correct. Yeah, that actually, if we had done that, if it were, because there are some very big natural gas users in the county.
Sure.
A-Basin, the resort up on the hill, and Copper Mountain, that consume disproportionate amounts of natural gas as a single customer.
Sure.
Where our share would have been 21,000 if you just went by customer numbers.
Is there, I think, so I appreciate you explaining that. I do think that this is confusing reading that. Is it spelled out anywhere that I might have missed? Stand corrected, thank you.
Yeah.
I do agree, I think, because it says customers and greenhouse gas. So it was a combination, I read it as a combination of.
Yeah, it
was just the greenhouse usage.
That's just, I cut the table that was prepared, and was nested among numerous other tables showing different possible combinations of cost allocation, and this combination, or this cost allocation is the best for the counties.
And can you remind us, we agreed to, I remember a pretty rapid agreement into the initial intervention, how does this expenditure that we're voting on or talking about today relate or correlate to that initial conversation we had?
This pays for what we said we paid for in the initial conversation.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have a question for our attorney. Because I had a similar question. As I went to the IGA, it's not clear in the IGA how the cost is allocated,
Well,
or is it? Did I miss
It-
something?
it is, there, the IGA references an exhibit B. Let me see what paragraph that's in, but the exhibit B isn't included with this IGA that's in the packet, so that's in paragraph,
Exhibit B is the
Yeah.
table.
yeah,
That's in the,
That's it.
yeah.
I guess then I got confused with language. So what you're saying, exhibit B is the table that's here, which calls out basically the maximum participation that we'll have.
yes.
What we're agreeing to is an expenditure of up to $14,750. So am I correct that if they overrun their estimated cost, they would have to come back to us for approval?
We defer to our attorney if she can answer that off the top of her head.
Well, I think it's hard to say because I mean, I assume that that's exhibit B is that table. The agreement references the exhibit B. That's how the parties are going to split it. So let me go back to the table to see if the table. I mean, I think there could be an argument based on the table that the percentages are what they are and their estimated cost based on the estimated cost that we have from the attorneys and the experts.
So it looks like one of the experts, Synapse, has a not to exceed contract of $83,540. And council estimated the cost to be between $60,000 and $120,000. So the $120,000 was the top end of the estimate, and that's what's used to come up with the $213,000. So there is a chance it could go over that. There's a much greater chance it'll be under that.
But the question is, are we obligated to pay the extra? Because the contracting for the formula, not the amount.
I would say, I think we probably are, but I would also say if it were coming in over that, before it came in over that, there would be a long, hard discussion among the members and the council.
And then completely big picture, have you heard anything? I mean, the big issue is, will all these costs be borne by this area versus it goes into the state rate base? Has there been any?
There's still in the public hearing and public comment portion, so, yeah. I assume Excel will be coming out with some offers and proposals in the very near future before it actually goes to hearing.
Okay. Other questions or comments to town manager? Can I have some motion?
Yes, no, I have a question.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Councilman Ford.
Mr. Town Manager, do I understand this is preparation we're preparing for and for the presentation for a one and done meeting? Or are we anticipating the possibility of follow-on action? Is that what you were just discussing? Wasn't clear.
No, it's this one PUC here. It's appealable, isn't it?
No,
Okay,
I
well,
mean,
I
the
think,
PUC makes a decision, but it's a process. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an in-depth process.
so there may be a call for more additional work after we should be aware of. Yeah,
I would say
I think
that
you're
the
telling us
estimates,
there could be more expenses.
I would say the estimates are gonna be pretty accurate. These are, I mean, one, you have the not to exceed amount from the experts. And then these are
Okay.
attorneys who are specialized in litigating before the PUC, and they're gonna give you a good estimate, and I would say the estimate would probably be on the higher side, because they wanna protect themselves.
Okay,
And
I
we
appreciate that.
can terminate our participation
Well,
immediately.
I do believe it's mandatory that the PUC hear a unified mountain community voice about this energy project that proposes to impose massive system costs on a small number of mountain community residents. I just want to be very aware of what we're buying into. I I appreciate Councilmember Hageno's questions, and I think I understand your discussion of, what did you say it was, blue gas emissions as opposed to actual consumption, correct? Can you hear me?
No, it's for the cost allocation is
Greenhouse
really,
gas.
yeah, it's based upon consumption. The greenhouse gas is the estimate is based upon the amount of natural gas used. So rather, we have more customers, disproportionately higher percentage of customers than we do have a percentage of the natural gas used in the area.
Well, I came in tonight ready to ask you how it's possible that Dillon's extensive commercial customers, as well as the residents, are estimated to be less than half of our usage. But then you mentioned a basin, and I would ask why we are including a basin.
We're not paying for a basin. Summit County, under this formula, Summit County is paying for the natural gas used at a basin and the natural gas used in Copper Mountain. And the natural gas used up on the mountain outside of our town here. So that's why we have a disproportionately high number of customers compared to natural gas use, because most of the big users are not in our town.
And yet our town customers are twice as many as Dillon's.
Yeah. We have a whole lot more units in Dillon.
Yeah, we have 3,600 units in Keystone.
Okay.
Plus, we do have some large natural gas usage in the town, like heating sidewalks in River Run.
Yeah, that's probably our biggest use.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That's important to understand.
Councilmember Corbett.
Yeah, we have a lot more units, although many of the older ones are electric baseboard. But I want to get back to the crux, and the purpose of this is to do more equitable distribution across all customers, because there's the percentages that we're asking about here for better understanding, but the real point here is we're arguing for, I think you said, a distributed cost of like $100 per subscriber per resident, instead of like thousands of dollars per person that nobody budgeted
Right.
for. It's like, just keep the house warm. That's why this is so important. I think that's the people listening need to hear that that's what we're all fighting for.
Yeah, this was, I believe it's the first project where they considered localized allocation of the expense of the project rather than distributed statewide.
Just a comment, which we have been involved in, this is very rare to do it the way they're suggesting. So there's precedent on our side, but you can never tell what the PUC or everything. Across all the XLs in Minnesota and Texas and most of the rest of the country. This is kind of a rarity to see what they're
But I just want to clarify, not the way we're breaking it up, but you're saying it's a rarity the way Excel is trying to break up the cost on us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It would be like asking Summit County to pay for our septic, as if no one else used it.
And let me be clear, my questions about how we are being assessed for this particular action has nothing to do with the fact that I do believe this is a mandatory movement. So I support that.
We basically addressed the question. Could I call, would object to calling the question at this point?
We have a motion, we need a motion.
But they only really have.
Oh, that's right, we already have a motion, don't we?
I don't think so.
No, okay. Can I have a motion? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I move to approve resolution 2025-28, approving intergovernmental agreement regarding Mountain Community Coalition and participation in the Colorado Public Utility Commission proceeding number 25A0044 each.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Now I'll call the question. Without objection. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is resolution of the Town Council of Town of Keystone affirming the value of public land, opposing the sale of federal public lands as proposed in reasons of potential future federal legislation. Mr. Town Manager.
And I'd actually like to pass this out to Councilmember Hagenau, who's brought this to us.
Thank you. Let me just scroll down and apologize. Yes, so, the objective with this, motion or resolution, I should say, is to get ahead of, what I view as a potential issue in the future. Sorry, I'm just going to I'm bringing forward this resolution today to affirm something that's deeply rooted in the identity of Keystone and the mountain communities across the West. Our connection to public land and our responsibility to safeguard those lands. This resolution has been shared with all of y'all, and as outlined in this resolution, Keystone depends on surrounding U.S. forests and Bureau of Land Management lands, not just for recreation and tourism, but for the clean air, wildlife habitat, open space, and cultural value they provide. Areas like Keystone Gulch, Tenderfoot Mountain, and the Snake River corridor are more than landmarks, they're part of who we are. They are, that's why we need to speak up right now. Recent federal legislative processes have opened up the door to selling out millions of acres of public land, including the lands here in Colorado and in sometimes our backyard. Without adequate local input or environmental oversight, these proposals were paused thanks in part to bipartisan opposition, but the intent to reintroduce similar measures remains. To be clear, we know that passing this resolution will not on its own change federal legislation. But it matters, and our voice matters. And what we do to stand with other Colorado towns and counties, and what we're saying, really, public land is not a commodity to be quietly auctioned off. They are foundational to our quality of life and our economy. This resolution, I hope, sends the message to our state legislators and congressional representatives. It shows that we're paying attention, it shows that we care, and it shows that we expect them to defend our public lands and heritage. And I think that more recently it shows our local districts as well that we really do care about our land. I will say this resolution does not oppose all land transfers outright. We recognize that in circumstances and backed by strong local support, sound environmental review, and clear community belief benefit, limited land transfers or reuse can be appropriate. But it draws a firm line against the forced sale or privatization of public land that bypass local voices, ignore ecologic impacts, and undermine the character and economy of rural and recreational-based communities like ours. passing this resolution, I hope we stand and send a clear, principled message that we value our public lands and we intend to protect them, not just for ourselves, but for the generations that come after us. That was not a prepared speech.
Is there any questions or discussion? Councilmember Permit.
I want to thank Councilmember Hagnow for bringing this forward. This is the right thing for us to do. I think we all agree on that. I'm not saying or saying anything anyone else isn't thinking. This is so important to all of us, and it's tragic that we need to do this, and I'm proud to be a part of doing this.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Well, just real quick, we are asking for equitable rec access, and I understand that it sounds great. I just want to make sure that we don't have to on the mountains, but have ADA compliant. We're not saying something like that. But otherwise,
That was certainly not the
I'm
intent.
very supportive of this.
I guess I have one question. One I'm in full support of it. Is this similar to the resolution that was passed by the town of Frisco?
One might say reinventing the wheel is not something that should be done, but I did ensure that it was tailored specifically to us, and I did remove some of the verbiage that they had, which is a little bit more, I think it didn't align with our community's political stance on some things.
So is Frisco and then possibly Keystone the only two towns who have taken this on? Or?
No, this is something that quite frankly, I think, and I don't have that list in front of me, but it's dozens of towns in Colorado. As far as the local county, we would be the only two towns as of now. Frisco was just on top of their ADA as soon as this hit the news, and they were passing this resolution, but I believe that very similar mountain communities to us have passed this as well. I don't have that exact list, but I know that there's several that are very similar to us in our kind of layout that have passed this.
And all of the mayors and managers at least support this. They've all had discussions with our congressional representatives on this. The congressional representatives are firmly aligned. What this does is give added weight to those local representatives to show that the towns are deeply behind the public sale of the public lands.
And not deeply behind, but deeply against it.
Oh, you got it, against the public sale.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Can I have a motion, Councilmember Sullivan?
I move to approve resolution 2025-29. A resolution of the town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, affirming the value of public land and opposing the sale of federal public lands as proposed in recent and potential future federal legislation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion is carried. Next item is formation of ad hoc committees related to postal services in the town of Keystone. Mr. Town Manager.
And I will actually pass this on to Councilman Sullivan.
I think everybody knows that we've been working as a kind of a private sector committee to enhance postal services in the community. It's well known that we have had problems with closures that were unplanned, a lot of mail delivery issues, and for the town of Keystone in particular, we have limited on-site delivery, which has many people have expressed issues with having medicine and issues with voting ballots being challenged. And so we would like to form a formal committee, an ad hoc committee with the town of Keystone, that we put together a charter here, which I have some changes I probably like to discuss, but that's the intent of this committee. And it's got three main objectives: to get a zip code, to enhance mail delivery service locally, and then potentially look at some sort of contracted or postal unit officially located in the city.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you. Just a couple questions for anyone listening. A postal unit, is that a physical presence, or like would some people call that a post office?
Well, there's the traditional post office we're all familiar with, and then there's something called a contracted postal unit, which would be, for example, we would contract with USPS, be able to sell stamps, have our own boxes here, but within our facility. And we would be obligated and responsible for manning that, but it would really be a town facility under contract with the USPS.
Providing very similar services that a post office might.
Correct.
Thank you.
Am I correct that the type of services we're talking about, you listed the first two, but there could be a whole scale of options that we would have to provide that to include cluster boxes or cluster boxes, we have package delivery and those sort of things that may not go to the full extent of contracted post office.
That is correct. It would be, we would have the ability, I mean, I think it'd be very attractive for a lot of people that are up here part-time. We can probably contract, have package delivery and units for people that were here 6 months out of the year, that kind of thing. But that would be up to us as a town if we would have a contracting unit.
And then, thank you. Second question, the objectives, are those listed in order of what you would consider the priority?
You know, the first two are a high priority. The third one is probably lower priority. I mean, if I was to,
Sure.
you know, not representing the team right now, but that's what I would say.
Would enhanced mail delivery, do we feel like that's something that's something we'd like to get over the finish line faster than the zip code?
Well, I was going to, once we pass this charter, I was going to then later on, when we have comments, talk about what's going on with the zip code program as well as the cluster box program. So I'll discuss that.
Did you have some recommended, or heard you mentioned some recommended changes before we go much further? First, what are your recommendations?
Under enhanced mail delivery, I would recommend that we say engage with USPS to encourage enhanced mail service as opposed to plan the deployment. So because we do need to engage with them. On the committee membership, I would recommend that we don't require town staff to be on the committee. I would also say that while we probably will, I don't want to require at least one from the local business community. And then a question along those lines came up, and maybe it's in our charter. Do we have a issue with somebody being on a planning and zoning committee as well as this committee? Can it be on multiple?
Checking.
Charter doesn't address ad hoc committees.
Yeah, I would think that this came up and I didn't know if this was an issue.
I'll just look really quick.
And then other simple ones. Under the section for meetings, the committee shall meet, I just want to say as required to fulfill its responsibilities. And the next one, I would put period after public. All meetings shall be open to the public, period. And then on reporting, I would say period after, on the first sentence, period after town council, delete the rest of that sentence.
And And then one question for you, Councilmember Sullivan, is non-residents, non-registered voters can still be a member of this committee, right? There's no restrictions there.
Yes.
Any questions for Councilmember Sullivan on the committee? As amended, as he's talked about. Can I have a motion?
Do we need a motion? Or
Do I need a motion? I'll ask the attorney, but the ad hoc committee.
Well, I mean, I think what we talked about with the policy was if anybody had any objections to this, how it was set out.
Does anyone have any objections? Councilmember Kerr?
Oh. None.
All right. Last call for objections. You have your guidance. Next item is, I'm assuming we have no planning matters, Mr. Manager?
no planning matters?
Then report of the town manager and staff.
Okay, I'll try to get through this a little quick here. The police chief is on vacation right now. Things are going smoothly. They are investigating a potential arson at Sunrise. They had to have an evacuation of 28 employees last weekend. The fire was outside, on the outside staircase to the building. So that's the big news here. We'll have a report at our next meeting of calls and responses by the Keystone Police Department. The clerk will be bringing the Business Advisory Committee at the next meeting. Our evening cocktails with council. Clerk reached around and recommends that we use Rotolo's. And at our next meeting, we should have new AV equipment installed in here.
Not sure.
Like in the main village in River Rotolo's?
Yes.
Yes.
And were you looking at Monday night or Tuesday night?
They are available either night.
I'm sorry, say again?
They are available either night.
I would like to ask that we choose a different location, something that's more friendly to some of the working residents that we're trying to reach. I feel like we reached out last time and used a business that we're trying to like revitalize activity in another central commercial space, but we're dealing with dual missions here. I think of our goal of having an evening meeting with our constituents to reach out to them. But we should pick something that, isn't right in the middle of Tourist Central, and something that's more conducive to an intimate discussion with our constituents.
We had proposed a few months ago, Dos Locos, which was not open at the time. Is that worth considering? Did you already talk to them?
They are open, but they would like to do a different format than what we've typically been doing, meaning they would like us to have a minimum spend and have a like joint check for the event.
Oh. I can't buy onto that.
Was Snake River Saloon by any chance contacted?
They were contacted and had a similar response to that.
I think there was also a previous discussion about whether we should be doing this during peak season.
Okay.
They were in the chat.
Yes. So am I hearing some discussion of whether we want to run a cocktail with the council for this month? Or next, I guess it's next month.
Yes.
we've only had 2 evening sessions and they were both twice as successful as the morning ones. So, and they were different members of the community that showed up. I hate to drop this.
I agree both with Councilwoman Kerr and Councilmember Barnett that I am concerned about the location, but I also love the success that has been had previously. So I hate to cut the success off, but yeah, I think that your points about having an intimate competition are going to be very unique in a run location in August.
Well, I read just local center. It's a wild place.
I think Steep is probably also available. I haven't reached out to them because we wanted to reach out to different businesses, but we could reach back out to Steep as another alternative.
Steep has always been a great alternative. I must point out that Nowhere Pizza was very effective. That may have been partly because people moved directly from the RPT brief out, but RTAP brief out, but I think we thought we'd get more workforce folks at Nowhere Pizza.
Did we get any workforce folks at Nowhere Pizza?
You were there.
I was there, and yeah, we did not really.
I don't think we
achieve that.
did.
Whether technical workforce or not, I don't think we achieved the ideals of the workforce outreach.
So what are the options?
Yeah, what are the options? What do we want to do? This
I
is
think
proposal.
number one, I would recommend that we do hold it. And it's cocktails. I mean, I guess Monday, are we thinking Monday or Tuesday is a big issue?
Both were available.
Okay, well, Monday has been our consistent date, so there's value in consistency. But then the issue is Steep or Rotolo.
I say go with Rotolo. I have to admit I won't be available, but we were committed to doing this once a quarter in the evening, and we are committed to moving it around town. And they're willing to do it.
You know, there are a significant number of workers who will be leaving their jobs in River Run when this happens. It might not be convenient to their house, but it's convenient to their place of work.
Is it possible to reach out to Val and ask them to spread the word? Or even to put one of those, what do they call those advertisements that stand in the middle of the
Sandwich.
Thank you, sandwich board, right. Maybe KNC would be help us with that.
That's not Vales, that's KNC.
Yeah.
They own the walkways
Aaron,
and they own the sandwich boards. Or maybe Rotello would do that.
If we're doing it quarterly, I think, I agree with the others, we should do it, run the right track, because otherwise it does give us, it gives us May and gives us November, which are our ideal off times, that it's easier for force folks to come. I do appreciate the work that the clerk did reaching out. My thought is probably, I think we'd get a better turnout at Steep, but I'm also willing to roll the dice.
I think there's a lot of potential to get different turnout due to the reasons that we just discussed at Rotello, so I'm willing to support that.
Let's find out.
Let's divide this into 2 pieces. First piece is, do we want to run the cocktail with council next month? And
Yes.
there's a thumbs up. Second one, do we want to run cocktails with council at Rotolo next month? So, there's your answer.
One other comment, please make sure that Steve knows we're not doing this together.
Good idea. Other departments, community development, plugging away. You heard a lot of what they're doing today. Public Works, we were working on these bids and working on our budget for next year. Finance, working on the budget. The audit is done and will be presented to you at the next meeting, August 12th. Everything is just fine in the audit. We are still collecting our June lodging tax, but it is where it was expected. It does not look like there was any sort of downturn in the month of June, at least in lodging in Keystone. Over the past couple of weeks, had our IMTPR meeting. We're down, the IGA is almost completed. Everyone has signed it except the town of Eagle, Pickton County, neither of which are opposed. They're going to get it done, and Montezuma. And I've taken it on myself to make sure we get Montezuma to sign off on this IGA. And actually allow me to designate a Montezuma representative for them on the IMTPR so we get that extra vote. Let's see, I-70 Coalition, holy cow, is Mountain Rail truly moving ahead. The state has already signed a contract for use of the tracks with Union Pacific, and in 2026 they plan on starting expanded rail service to Grammy, and then by 2030 they expect to have expanded rail service through Kremlin up through Steamboat all the way to Craig, a daily rail service. And they've learned their lesson about pricing from the Winter Park, the ski train, so it will be an affordable option to get down to Denver or to get up here. If we have a bus to Kremlin, which is a very serious possibility, it would be possible for people to get to Keystone without needing a car whatsoever.
Like Kremlin?
Right. If they want to take the rail. Lots of people want to take the rail.
Versus just a bus
That's a good
from
one.
Denver.
Yeah.
So we don't have any rail capability in this county?
Yeah.
I guess I'm not sure how that benefits us.
It's just something that's out.
Okay.
It can take traffic off of I-70, which would benefit us.
That's it?
We'll see.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, everyone, well, you just look at the numbers it's taken off I-70 going to Winter Park, the ski train, a significant number. If people are going to take the train to Steamboat, it will take a significant number of cars off I-70.
I'm sorry, I just got to add, I just think it kind of hurts us a little bit. Makes another ski area like more attractive.
I'm just giving you
I know.
information on what's happening. I can't believe it's in any way going to be a success. I'm a bit shocked at how successful the Winter Park ski train is. And that has a history of being a very fun trip. So I just recently took Amtrak from Denver to Glenwood Springs, and yeah, it's a slow ride. There are lots of steep, winding parts. We got passed by a butterfly at one point on the train, so I'm not, it was a fun trip, but it's not something if you want to get up there and catch first tracks. Did you have a question?
If I can jump back to one earlier thing you mentioned about the fire. I did want to ask, did we have any communication about housing for those folks who are displaced? I understood that they moved them into the B unit. Is everyone settled, or have they been able to go back in?
I don't know if they're back in yet. I don't think they're back. No, they're not back in yet. They're still making sure no smoke damage, nothing like that. Everyone was resettled immediately. Vail Resorts also helped them financially, got city market cards to help replace, because electricity was cut to the building during the fire. So Vail Resorts took care of ensuring that their food was replaced. And Vail Resorts really stepped up given the emergency
And
situation.
Vail Resorts is going to give the employees an option. You can stay where we moved you. You can stay in another area of Sunrise that may be closer to the unit you just left, or you can move back to the unit you just left.
Vail, want to give kudos to Vail Resorts on the way they stepped up immediately, not just finding the place, but making sure that people were taken care of. Floyd Hill's going to be a nightmare for that. At least through 2026, they'll be getting blasting, and they're going to be starting work on the new westbound bridge very soon. It's exciting, but still a nightmare. Let's see, we have the mayors, managers, and commissioners. I know the mayor's going to talk about some of it, but we also discussed nicotine taxes, early childhood options, and non-profit funding in general. The managers have been tasked with quite a few things. As you all might have seen, spectacular job of fire mitigation, spectacular collaboration between the town, Vail Resorts, and homeowners at St. John. We've created a very safe area for firefighters to work in, and if worst case scenario happens, that work that we just did should save lives.
Save property.
And definitely will save property.
Could you expand on the partnership, the 3 players there? I didn't realize that it was expanded. Last I knew, one of the key players was not willing to contribute a match.
They weren't, but when they saw what the town and the owners of St. John were doing, and after discussions with the fire department, they realized it's in everyone's best interest to make sure we get this entire stretch of corridor cleaned up.
And a lot of that was due to one of the, some fire and EMS. I talked to her this afternoon. In fact, I congratulated her on working with Vail to make this happen on this stretch of Vail's property. This is a small but I think important step where it shows that the town and Vail work together for a common objective, support common goals.
And we were awarded the highly competitive destination blueprint. It actually is. It is very difficult to get this. Destination blueprint grant from the Office of Economic Development and International Trade. They will come do a tourist analysis and then some stakeholder meetings and 100 hours of consulting work, helping to develop a marketing and destination program. And in our case, we also requested help in setting up ongoing marketing program, DMO, and issues like that. This one was a particularly good one to get because there's going to be a lot of money invested next year in the sesquicentennial, centricentennial for the state and the county. I got both those words out. So it's very good to be working with Colorado Tourism and OEDIT and Colorado History as we're going into that. There's some real good marketing cooperative efforts. 150th anniversary of the state, 250th of the country, and here's the newest town. So we're very happy about it. We're still working on the summit hazard and evacuation plans. We should have something complete done by this fall sometime. More town manager news, but Silverthorne has hired a search firm to hire a new town manager, and just today, after 11 years working in Blue River, their town manager there gave her notice and she'll be gone. August 29th is her last day. She was a very valuable member of our county-wide community. NRO has 2 concerts coming up at River Run that we are helping to sponsor on the 24th at 5 p.m. and the 26th at 10 p.m. River Run's Friday night band program is going to be going on for several more weeks still. I was there last Friday night. Actually, it was crazy how vibrant River Run was on Friday. The resort did their first, what do they call it? Their Friday afternoon club. I can't remember what it's called. Their afternoon club. They were expecting 300 people to go to the top of the mountain. 1,800. Wait times at the restaurants in the village were well over an hour. It was a neat thing to see.
The line going out it was a pretty tough line.
Yeah, yeah. And as information, I will be out August 2 through 10. That's just 1 week, 2 weekends. I will be in lots of places where I will not have cell phone reception. So leave me messages, text me, but don't come and get a hold of me in an emergency. Maddie will be in charge while I'm gone.
I'm confident we won't need to call you. We have someone very good sitting in your stead.
And that's it for my managers.
Any other questions for the manager? Report of mayor and council members, do you have any report?
Councilmember Kerr has something.
Well, let's go with Councilmember Sullivan, then we'll go to Councilmember Kerr.
Well, 2 things. We didn't talk about who's going to attend drinks in the council. I will not be in town, so we need 2 people.
I'm afraid I won't be in town either,
Okay.
even though I support it.
I'll check.
That's Monday, right?
Monday.
Secondly, I thought I would give you a little bit of a brief update on the post office. A lot of movement, not all great. As you know, we're looking at zip code delivery post office. There's a new Postmaster General, David Steiner, came from Waste Management or whatever. He no comment. I comment. They're still looking for a postmaster for Dillon. The old postmaster was very supportive of our ZIP program, very encouraging. Encouraged people to go out and start buying cluster boxes. We had one that bought and installed, and then he's disappeared. And the district manager said, no, he didn't really have the final approval for that. So we're back to square one with the zip code. With the cluster box program, the delivery. So until we get a new postmaster, we have to start over. They had to do a proposal. With that, I asked for a meeting with the district director. He's an individual that manages both Colorado and Wyoming, Doug Smith. And I met with him this past week. We've discussed the breakdown of communication that we had with the previous postmaster. His view, and he had just come off of Zoom with the new postmaster general, who said that, number one, we're not going to take the USPS private. I thought that was going to be interesting news. But he also said that we're going to be very focused on cost reductions and any kind of programs, such as what we're talking about, a cluster program, would need to go up to Washington for approval. So I made the case that, look, we've already had one that has installed, made that commitment based on what they believe was approval. So I need somebody to address that one little niche. So I'm hopeful there, but not I can't guarantee that. A little bit bit better on the zip code. There are two approaches going that we took. One was Keystone Direct, because we have a fairly simple request, because it only involves one post office, one town, whereas a lot of other people come forward, it's a very messy, complex, multi-postal unit issue. So we have that proposal. I did discuss it with the district manager, director. I believe he was supportive, but again, he's punting that up to Washington. So it's like everything goes to Washington, which scares me. The second approach is in Washington. We got put on a congressional bill, HR 3095. It did pass the House this week. Now it's on to the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, where it needs to be, that committee will get out to committee, and the Senate will probably, if it gets out of committee, will probably approve it. But I will tell you, the USPS is lobbying against it. So we're on with a couple dozen other towns or our own zip code. It passed Congress, and now it's in the Senate. Along those lines, you may have seen that Bennett and Hickenlooper had asked to meet with Steiner to have him visit out here, and that should be an opportunity for us to re-emphasize what we need and why we need it. The other thing is just, we've got a request from the Colorado Public Radio for a short interview, which I'll be doing early next week on why we want a zip code. So that's the committee. Any questions?
One thing, Dan, if I remember correctly, even if this HR 395 passes, the USPS could in theory just say, thank you for your insight, no thank you.
Well, it's hard. If it becomes a bill and the president signs it, I think they would, the view is that they would be obligated to do it, but they are a quasi-separate entity of the government, so we'll see. I will, one other comment, I think we all know this, and interesting, when we were talking about housing earlier, because the district director did say, and by the way, if there's anything you guys can do in the towns and the mountain, is help us with employee housing. Because one of the challenges they've had is that there are a number of postmasters that are vacancy positions in the mountains. They can't get people at their salary scale for postmasters to live here. And he also says that that's the challenge of Dillon. His number one priority is to fix the services in Dillon for us, because he says it's a crime that they've been closing down when they're supposed to be open. So he's very focused on that, and I'll continue to.
Actually, we could find a place if they put a post office in Keystone and gave us everything we wanted. It's kind of rude to say, no, you're not getting nothing. By the way, do you have housing for us? But we can find housing.
In fact, if we could get cluster boxes and a zip code, I feel relatively confident I know where we could find employee housing. Very confident.
Yeah, actually, that's something that I'll bring up to the recent committee.
What do they need? What do they need?
Yeah.
It may not be the best employee housing, but it would be employee housing. And I know where we get the housing unit from.
We are talking about some bullets, possibly, so I appreciate that.
Any other council?
Just random stuff in there?
What?
Can we
Yes.
bring anything?
Any council items? We have other business coming, but,
Carol.
Carol?
Town manager and I went to the Elk Cove HOA meeting last weekend. It was their first HOA meeting. 2 points of interest. One, we learned that 80% of the Elk Cove homeowners bought into that from somewhere else in Keystone. So I think that's a good bid for Keystone. The second thing is we continue, of course, to receive those comments about not understanding the relationship between KNC and the town. One of their more senior people said something about double assessments, and John and I had to run that gauntlet again of explaining how that really works, but it continues. It requires constant education, I believe. The second thing I wanted to bring up is, John, after last month's or last coffee, the July coffee with council, I mentioned to you my concern about the 10-mile-an-hour speed limits in Loveland Pass Village, and I passed on a resident's interest in speed limits. When we spoke, your concern was on the next phase of road work there, but I wonder if you could address those two issues in August.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And add into that speed limits.
Say again?
We'll discuss speed bumps next.
Yeah. Let's
As well as
come back to that. And the 10-mile-an-hour limit. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other council members? Aaron?
Just similarly, adding to the speed stuff, I was talking to a constituent who lives over on Soda Ridge, who was saying that drivers over there are crazy. I certainly see plenty of crazy drivers on East Hanson relating to activity around the commercial operations there. We know we have a lot of speeding issues, and we are grateful for the Keystone Police Department. I know that we've talked in the past about, and we included in our legislation, the capability to move to an AVIS type camera system, both for speeding and for sound. I think if we're starting to have conversations about speed limit signs and enforcement and rather radical things like speed bumps, I think more practical things that we've already been timing for, maybe it's the time to do that now.
And if I may, I had this thought as I was driving out to Keystone Ranch the other day. The speed limit there is far too high. We need to actually look at all our roads and make some speed limit determinations in the very near future.
Awesome. But I'd like to look at camera solutions as well, to do some traffic calming with that. Similarly, I know that several of you seem to have reported that people have tried to contact you and you haven't received it. The constituent I talked to on Soda Ridge said the same thing, that he used the general comment form, but he didn't get no confirmation back that he thought he was supposed to get, and he never heard any follow-up. So something might not be working. We might need to do some testing around that. I encouraged him to come tonight, but he couldn't make it. He'll probably come next week. That's Dr. Johnson. And let's see. Trails. We're all aware.
Can we address that in other business?
Yes.
This is a report.
Okay.
Any other reports from council members? I do have a report from the mayor manager's meeting. The county is looking at establishing a rural transportation district that has several advantages associated with it. What they're looking at is incorporating some stage into that district with this existing tax base, finding a way to do that. Potentially expanding the transit to include Kremling, Alma, Fairplay, and Leadville. They're looking for an MOU to investigate, to continue investigating that with a consultant. They have initial consultant support that they have now. The key is if an RTD was established, the town would have an option whether or not to join it. I would expect to see probably sometime in the next month an MOU to come out that would address our potential participation in doing that investigation. We would have an equal vote with everyone else. I haven't heard of any cost associated with that. I'm assuming the county would be absorbing the cost to do all the legwork associated with with the RTD, and we'd have the right to opt out at any time that we wanted. And Keystone could not be included into the RTD unless our voters approved it. So this isn't like we'd be signing up for something, but I wanted to give you all a heads up that this will probably be coming sometime in August, potentially the next meeting, potentially later. So, if you have any questions, the town manager would be happy to answer. But the other piece, it gives us an extra vote on the INTPR too, if we had a RTD, aside from the bus transportation systems. I think the town manager alluded to it on a friendly bus, and it was a mountain rail. So now we go back to other matters, and now I'll recognize Councilman Conrad.
I think most of you are aware of what's going on with trails up here and back on in the neighborhoods east of here on the north side of the highway. And we've heard comments from two of our constituents tonight. I think several of us, at least two others, if not many others, have heard complaints from many of our constituents offline about the management of the trails north of town. And a quick summary for anyone who's unaware, there's what's known as the Broad Trail, which is run from Fragrant Road down, terminating in the Loveland Pass Village area. It's been there for over 50 years. And it's offered trail access to the neighborhoods of Enclave, Soane, Sanctuary, and LPV for their entire existence. When the Forest Service went to add or move that trail, or really what they're doing is adding a different trail, other than terminating near the same point at the top, they dropped that trail into the incline trail that runs out of our parking lot across the private land here in Vail Resorts. They started that work last year. And the first that all of us knew about it is when people started asking why are there excavators up on the hill? Because the Forest Service did a subpar or non-existent job of outreach and informing. Now that process for our town did in 2023 is when scoping began. But many of us are almost mailing us and didn't get an email. So nobody knew. I find it alarming to see our public lands being disrupted in the way they are. To see old growth trees felled, areas where the land was revegetating, ripped up and torn up and turned upside down. It would take decades to recover from this mitigation process that I was told today by Forest Service ranger, oh, we're following best practices. That is a direct quote. And I very much appreciated the hour that ranger spent speaking with me. But unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of answers that we were hoping to hear. Knocking down the trees, ripping up the topsoil, and destroying access is as intended. Removing access to people who've had it, I was told that they believe that this is a better solution. I pointed out that people who used to be able to walk to the trails now have to drive. And there was no answer for that. I asked about the disruption of streams that feed wetlands, and I was told that their hydrologists were unaware of any such springs or any such damage. So I'm pretty alarmed by this. They did promise to look into the notification and why no one seemed to be aware of it and get back to me. I said, why on earth, when you're not rerouting a trail, you're destroying the old trail and putting in a new trail, and for some reason it's taking like 2 years to build a trail. There's no timeline that says you had to destroy the old trail before the new one was done. Why on earth would you actually choose to do that? Like, no company that's trying to please customers would ever do such a thing. Only a completely unthinking, caring organization would make an executed process like that. And then put up signs on our public land saying you'll be prosecuted if you walk on a trail that they built. There was not an answer for that, but there was a promise to come back and do that. So that's the update I have on this issue. You know, I think the mayor put it best when, after the discussions about potential closures in Jones Gulch and the good faith meeting that we had with the Forest Service, we thought we had an understanding agreement that like further processes were going to be discussed with us. I think that was the mayor's expectation. I think it was all of ours, and I think that's what any tax-paying constituent, whether you live in Keystone or not, would expect from the government. And so it's pretty alarming that you saw the email that I had sent out asking for a meeting and was told like, well, you know, you can try and keep calling me, and if you get a hold of me, I might answer some questions. That's not the actions that we expect to see from a public servant. I do think that several of our constituents writing spirited emails to the Forest Services will probably got me that phone call today. So whatever progress that is, hopefully we can work towards a future where the land managers around us work with us to serve the community. But I think this is so important in the same way that Councilmember Hagenau's resolution today speaks to, that we all live here for this, we all value this land, we all care about it. And it's very disheartening to be dictated to with not a care or question about how actions affect the residents and users of these wonderful public lands that we all own and pay taxes on to support. I don't know, I'm pretty livid, and I know a lot of people around here are too. I'm not sure what else we can do, but I feel like there's something else we should do. And I'd like to ask my fellow council, what else can we do here?
Well, what I would recommend is we take an approach similar to what we did on Jones Gulch. We send a letter, which I would end up signing, that would go to the Forest Service, expressing our concern, expressing the fact that we were thought we had an agreement in the past that anything that impacted the town would be worked with the town, that communication had not occurred, and that we would seek a meeting to address these issues. In addition to that, I believe the town manager has already scheduled the Forest Service and the Trails and Open Space County folks in, when is it, mid-August?
The second August meeting.
Second August meeting, that's a second step. But I think we probably need something more than waiting for that, more near term, to go out to them with a strong letter as we did with Jones Gulch. I guess I would seek council's approval for council member Permit and myself to work on that letter and get it sent. Councilmember Biston.
Can we, I'm not sure if you explicitly stated this, but can we ask for a meeting or presence at a work session to explain the history and progression that led to this specific situation, so residents can get some closure on where this came from, and I think we need some closure on this project, but we also need some reassurance moving forward. So I would like to invite them to explain the history of how this progressed to where we are now.
Can that be incorporated in the work session that we're going to have?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would like to add, I think that we need to look at alternative access, because very active communities that used to use this trail now having to drive everywhere is not going to be a long-term solution.
I think that's a great point, Councilmember Hagenau. The ranger I spoke with today tried to make the point, they're like, oh, well, the trail that we destroyed access to private property. And I said, well, it effectively had I'm not sure the legal term, but long use easement, similar to the Bear Creek situation in Telluride, because it had been there for, I don't know, it's 50 years or 70 years, but I believe that trail was put in the 40s or 50s. And by the way, that's the trail that was used to log out all those fire breaks, and that there's a great amount of like wildlife traffic on it. To me, that's like why would you destroy a resource like that? And the literal quote from the ranger, both of the rangers was, we're trying to discourage anyone from wanting to go there on their public lands, which is a crap attitude. I think that I responded to him when he said, well, the trailhead isn't good. I said, you routed it to a busy existing trail that already has no parking and already goes across private land. Now, there's easements across the private land, but there is no parking here for the public. And they're adding that trail, routing into the existing incline trail, which doesn't yet have user conflicts. There was no answer for that.
Councilmember This.
One more thing, since we become a town, we've executed lots of working agreements with different entities, and I'm wondering if there's a possibility of devising a working agreement with the Forest Service that lays out what the town's expectations, the Forest Service's expectations are in relation to where our two communities intersect. And when I use the word community loosely, but I mean, the Forest Service is an integral part of this community. Can we have a working agreement?
You know, we actually, in northern Colorado, the Fort Collins, Loveland area, and in Grand County, both those communities, and I think there are a couple other Grand Counties called Grand Places 2050, and it's a working group formed under the auspices of the Forest Service, includes BLM, Parks and Wildlife, and representatives from all the government entities that were involved in. They met monthly and discussed things like this with the ranger. And the same thing happens in northern Colorado, and it works both ways because, for instance, Grand County set up and paid for the Trail Ambassador program that works on the Forest Service. You can build these relationships.
And in Summit County pays for wildfire folks.
Yeah.
And Forest Service personnel in the summers. Frisco has to have some sort of agreement for the backyard arrangement they have with the Forest Service as well. So it's certainly something we can look at. I would doubt if the Forest Service would agree to something that was prescriptive on them. But what we really are after, well, we'd like to have that. I think the minimum we want is something where they have to coordinate what's going on and ensure that we get our say at the table.
I think that's true. I think that the way that we address the issue around like a prescriptive agreement is we do what Frisco and Breckenridge has done. And this could be to the great benefit of our town and drawing visitors and total residents. And that is have a special use permit, just like Keystone has for the resort, just like Frisco has for the peninsula, just like Breckenridge has for the town trail networks around Breckenridge on Forest Service land. They have a special use permit with terms that allows the town to manage and build and maintain trail systems. And if we build something like that here with proper environmental stewardship and community input, it would draw visitors, it would fill our rentals, it would fill our restaurants, and it would give our residents ways to access and recreate, especially when we start looking at a future where we have confined winter seasons. This space is sour. This is dry through December many years, and it is dry starting again in March or April. And that could be our shoulder season savior to keep the community active. And it would help address the mismatch of land management issues there if we asked for a special use permit that basically was what I was below Freight Gulch Road, something like that in my fantasy world. And a wonderful potential use of SDR dollars to create an amenity that would draw more in.
But that's kind of the role of the Trails and Open Space Committee and their development of an overall master plan. which is in process, they're in the process of being formed, and as we speak, I believe.
But it's something they make sure that they address.
They'll get it on their list as they come in and give us recommendations on how we are to go forward.
Do we know one of the incentives for the Forest Service to agree to such a permit is that they would not be financially responsible?
You got it. Which basically, if we put that permit in place, we're taking a financial liability, which is what Frisco said. So, and that's why you want to do it in conjunction with the whole trails and open space piece, where you understood what the costs were associated with it and then how we're going to fund it.
I'd like to expand on that. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about potentially exploring a special use permit or advising or?
I think it's pretty sure.
It's, I mean, trails and open space.
We have a committee established to do just those things.
And we can ask them to explore that, right?
I just don't want to lay it all on the town staff right now.
Well, and as you said, we're taking on an economic, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
But we're taking on an economic situation here, and there are always trade-offs. And it might be more important this year to finish a connection interior as opposed to taking on the financial burden. I don't know. I am not putting that forth as a fact, but.
If we started that process today, it wouldn't be approved for over years. We're talking like multi-year time horizons here.
And we have a structured design to be able to address those issues. All right, any other, we've just run 20 minutes over. I expected this to be a relatively short discussion. It was not.
Can I bring
Valerie, yes, go
one
ahead.
thing? I apologize.
I pushed you off.
I'm tired as well, but I feel like I want to put this out there. I really appreciate our town manager and our mayor report every session. I'm wondering if we can put an item on the agenda where we can address inquiries from constituents that come in that might not necessarily get shared with the entire council, that get sent, maybe get directed to the mayor, get directed to town staff that are constituent concerns that.
Anything I get, I forward to the council.
Anything that should be in front of the council definitely gets in front of the council.
Are we ever going to publicly address any of those items that get sent around here?
Anything I get, I forward on to council members. If council members want to bring that up to do something, they can. But I don't get a lot of individual requests in that area. The town manager, some of the items the town manager gets, I'll let him address that. Our stuff, the council's involved with some of the stuff that he deals with, they deal with in the staff.
Most of the stuff I get is strictly staff and really has no bearing on any council decisions. It's just typical day-to-day stuff that you call town hall about. Issues that council can take action on, I bring up to council. A lot of the things I've brought up have been driven by citizen requests. I just don't necessarily say this is being brought to you by a citizen request. But for instance, if we hadn't been doing anything about animal control and Fred came and told me that story, I would be bringing animal control up to the town council because of something like that. So.
And if any council members are getting constituent inputs on things, it would be helpful to share that with other council members as well.
So I think maybe, and I don't want to speak for anyone, but I think maybe the sentiment might be that there is priority items that are brought forward by constituents that might be circulated via electronic communication that might not be getting the same focus or highlight as what has been predetermined to be on the agenda.
Nothing is predetermined to be on the agenda, and the fact is, we can't do everything all at once.
And we
So
were told
it
that
is,
multiple
this
times.
is why you hired me to say, when we are talking about specific tasks, not priorities, not goals, not council policies, but specific tasks, like, are you going to repair the wooden bridge here? I know that has been brought to council members' attention, and it's been brought to me. And it is something that needs to be addressed, but its priority is a significantly lower priority than a lot of other issues, and we're half an hour over this meeting now. We just can't do everything all at once. That's why you hired a gatekeeper.
But if you get constituent inputs, as long as you do not put a personal view on that input, you send it to all council members. The minute that you say, as a result of this, I believe you ought to do the following, you're now walking a line in open meetings.
As we were shared during our offset, there's already an entire summer's worth of things to focus on, and we have a very busy agenda. Us not doing stuff that is important for our constituents because we have this full agenda that has been laid out and pre-described is a disservice to our constituents.
Everything we do is important to our constituents. Everything. So I take offense at the concept that we're ignoring important things to our constituents to do things that don't have importance to our constituents. Everything we do is important. Some of the things we do, we have to do before we start addressing other problems. It's just a logical process that we have to go through to get to things. We try to address everything, but we can't do everything all at once. And we have never once said, I know this is important and this is not, we'll do the not important thing. That has never happened.
And we have brought to the council concern on housing. That was raised. We brought it to the council session. We had a discussion on that. We, based on the council input, the path going forward was addressed on that. I'll just stop there. I mean, I'll just stop there. There are no hidden agendas here, guys. There are no hidden agendas. Other than get this town stood up.
I might be the messenger, I'm just trying to get it out there for everyone to be aware.
Understand?
I think the question might be diffused to, there's times where we have momentum on a set of priorities, and we need to be able to, pump the brake for a moment and say like, hey, let's consider this. I think that's all that's being asked.
Yeah, and
And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no.
But there's a place for it, and that's in other business.
Yeah, for example, Councilmember Clement, you brought up your concerns with trail access, and I took steps to make sure it's on the agenda with the people we need in the room and the information we'll need to make informed decisions. We can't, that's the most important thing for me. We just can't go off half-cocked. We have to have the knowledge before we make decisions.
And I recognize and thank you for bringing that to the agenda.
So I just want to be clear, so our avenue to bring issues to the council that we might feel are being underrepresented would be during other business.
Other matters.
Other
That's
matters.
always been the place.
I just want to be clear.
Other matters are, reach out to me.
Okay.
To reach out to me. That's how these two items got on the agenda tonight.
Just, I have to throw in a comment. I do feel like it's a challenge. We've all had now a year under our belt being in government. It's new to almost all of us, and it's slower than I think any of us would want. But I will say, I feel like we have been addressing them. I don't sense that there's been any hidden agenda, as the mayor says. And I think that it's an open forum for anybody on the council. If there's an issue and you think it's bad, you're, the citizenry, boy, this is it. I mean, I've always felt like I've been able to do that. So I encourage us all to do that. So I just throw that ahead.
Anything else? In next session, we will have a work session on digital and open meetings. With that, is there any other items? At that point, have a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye.
The switch. Yeah.
I don't.
Pretty sure I emailed you too.